Welcome to 247 Real Talk. I'm your host, Julian Perry. It's a pleasure to be here with you once again for another episode of the 247 Real Talk podcast. I hope you had a great week, as I always wish. Welcome to new subscribers. Welcome to existing subscribers. Welcome back. And for those who, I don't think I lost any subscribers this week, so I'm thankful that those who are here are continuing with the conversation. It's been another up and down week for me at work. Also, the year of 2025 continues. A very good friend, close, someone who calls, I call her my sister. She calls me a brother. She lost her father yesterday to prostate cancer. Just seems I can't shake this bad news. And I hate bringing it to you, but I want you to be really in touch when I'm broadcasting. And if you see an emotion in me, you understand. This past Monday, we celebrated something that's important, not just to people of color, but to the world. It represents someone that we celebrate, whose legacy they're those who are trying to erase. But the fact is, history is called history because it already happened. It was already proven, and it's true. So when we come back, we're going to talk about a quote from Martin Luther King and what it means and how relevant it is to our life today. Won't be a long podcast, but sit back, relax, and I'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Because I said we're going to have a quick discussion about a quote I came across from Martin Luther King that I think is so relevant as we celebrated Martin Luther King birthday on this past Monday. And what stuck with me from this quote from Martin Luther King said, "We must use time creatively in the knowledge that the time is always right to do right." Let's say it again. We must use time creatively in the knowledge that the time is always right to do right. As I pondered on that statement, there are many quotes from him, but that one came across my desk. And as I pondered on it, I thought about the world that we're in today. I thought about the challenges that we face today. I thought about things that we see in the news. I thought about what it takes for us to do the right thing. It comes back to something that I've discussed so many times with my audience. We often are at the right place at the right time to do the right thing. But there are things like fear. There are things like risk. There's things like so busy in the rest of our lives that we can't take a moment to recognize the moment to do the right thing. We're living in a time where everywhere on this globe is being challenged. If you were to focus on what's going on in the world today, you would probably be overwhelmed. From wars to conflicts to dictatorships to everything you could think about. And what's crazy about it is I reflect back on the past probably 2 decades, I realized that there's always been something. Matter of fact, I go back to 80s, 90s from Desert Storm, and then the war in Iraq, and then we dealt with different things in Syria and that region. Then we dealt with Desert Storm was, and this war in Iraq, that was 2, right? Desert Storm was the first where we marched through Iraq quickly, and the second was where we went back. We've dealt with, at one point, a lot of terror cells that were all over the place. We dealt with suicide bombings at one point all over the world. And each time we think that we have managed to solve an issue, another one pops up. And it is something that we have to recognize that we can't ignore it, okay? Ignorance is not a reason or a validation to now sit and complain about what's right or what's wrong. because and then say, well, I didn't know I could have done that then, and if I had known, I would have. We are living in a time where each individual is not only accountable for their personal lives, but cumulatively as part of life on this planet. We often hear people when, let's for instance, there's voting, and people say, "I'm not going to vote. Nothing's going to happen. It's not going to make a difference." And then they sit there and go, I can't believe this person won." You've all automatically negated your value as a human, and you've failed to live up to your a mandatory requirement as a human being on this planet. And when I say voting, people say, well, voting is part of a man-made system. Yes, but it's an integral part that ends up being the tapestry that we call life. So many things happen, and we see opposing sides fight. And many times it's a difference of, in our world that's so politically polarized, it's a difference of votes. And I'm not talking politics here when I say that. I'm talking about every single time you have the opportunity, when it presents itself, for you to do the right thing. Helping someone in need. Seeing someone who is hungry, and you just came out of the store and you got $2 change, and you look at that person and you rather push it in your pocket than help that person. Making a difference in each life. Making sure that people are also accountable for their roles. For many people, there are people who are oblivious. I've met people who live in communities where they're oblivious to what's going on outside. They're oblivious to what's going on in the world. They've never come out of that cocoon that they're in. And then there are others who feel that the way they cope, the way they always feel happy and giggly and go along like nothing is wrong, is to ignore the reality. And we know in this world, in this country, in this world, we have many people who cannot deal with the truth, who cannot deal with the reality of even what they're believing, what they support in is wrong. And many of them have the opportunity to do the right thing. But many say next time, or it won't make a difference. Whether it be that person who was hungry with those $2 would have bought a bagel or a cup of coffee or something, or added to other people's kindness to get them a full meal. Whether they were begging, but somewhere around the corner sits a hungry child that they're going to share whatever they get with. Whether it be a co-worker at work who's struggling with a task, and because it's not under your responsibility, but you have the skills and the ability to help, you ignore it because that's nothing to do with me, it's not mine. There's so many opportunities we have each and every day in our lives to do the right thing. I will confess that there are times when I pass an opportunity, and I am so hard on myself that I sit there and I look back and I say, I cannot believe that I did not stop. I cannot believe that I had this change in the ashtray and I did not give this guy. One of the hardest things I find sometimes for me is I'm driving, and I don't drive a lot, but I'm driving, let's say, and it always seems to happen sometimes on a Sunday morning going to church or something. And there's a specific intersection I stop at, and I always seem to get caught at the light. But many Sunday mornings, I have nothing to give. Gone are the days where I walk around with cash, right? Once in a while I have cash. Most of the times I have nothing. We all use cards. Cards are accepted for everything. And sometimes I have no change. I have nothing. And that person comes by and they stand right at my window. I've got no food in the car. I've got nothing to give them. And I still feel like, what could I have done to help them? But let me confess, there are other times when I could have reached into my wallet. I did have change. The light was about to change, and I was too busy in a hurry to get where I was going on time. Or I looked back and said, I'm going to hold up traffic if I take 10 seconds to reach in my pocket. And I lament on those things, and I ponder those things, and I pay attention to the fact that, Julian, those are opportunities you had to make a difference in someone else's life. You have no clue when you look into the eyes of someone else what their struggles and pains are. It is the same anywhere we go for anyone. There are people out there who don't recognize the struggle of minorities in this country, for instance. There are people in this country who don't recognize the struggles of people with cancer. There are people in this country who don't recognize the struggles of people who are on strike because they're working a hard job, working double shifts, and being poorly underpaid by rich companies. Everywhere we look, if we're looking hard enough, if we're deciding that our lives must have that kind of value, that we take every opportunity, not to say we can address each one, not to say we will recognize each one, but if we take every opportunity to train ourselves to recognize where we can be of value, in many cases, not much to much inconvenience. And in some cases, yes, inconvenience ourselves so that someone else can do something better. We're walking down the street, we see someone who's hungry. We had breakfast at home, but then we saw a nice donut shop or something, we decided to buy two. And then, or bagel, whatever, I'm making that up. We passed the person who's hungry. We bought these two things to take for ourselves. We're not hungry, but we don't want to give away these two things that we just stopped at the store to buy. That's an opportunity. Every one of us, in every single way, in many ways, I should say, walk by, ignore, and have become conditioned to not recognize opportunities to help another human person, to help another human, to save a life, to support someone, to take away a moment of hunger. We need to be better human beings. We need to be better human beings in volume and numbers so that our presence overwhelms all that's not good. It may be a long journey, but it starts with one at a time. And if we, as we celebrated this week, did not have someone named Martin Luther King Jr., then today we could not dream. Because if you decide to be truthful to yourself, whatever we dream today rests on the foundation of what he dreamed yesterday. So I'll bring it to you in this short episode again. We must use time creatively in the knowledge that the time is always right to do right. Someday, you will have an opportunity that changes the life of someone and even changes your own. We make decisions not recognizing that someone we help in another day helps us. Someone we help, when we give out good, good comes back, multiplied, causing our cup to runneth over. I hope you take this message and take the time to pause a little bit, to slow down a little bit, to be purposeful about paying attention to the people around you. I've done many episodes on people who have committed suicide, where people after they committed suicide say, oh, I didn't realize that's what they meant. They ignored the signs because they were too busy and too conditioned not to recognize a cry for help. We must help each other, whether it be activism, whether it be charitable contributions, whether it be whatever it is, whether it be in this weekend coming up, there's going to be a mass snowstorm across the eastern seaboard, I believe. Whether it be, if we're healthy enough, helping someone shovel snow. Someone who, if they went out there that day, might have collapsed from a heart attack. In my neighborhood, there are 3 neighbors next to each other, and there's the one who recently died, Jimmy, I told you. But we always got together and helped each other and cleaned up all our houses together. Because we recognize that one person is a singular struggle. 4 people is a successful collective effort. And the good you feel inside, the euphoria you feel when you see the smile on someone else's face because you helped their struggle, is something you can never replace. Remember, do good unto others, and good will come unto you. Until the next time, please take care of yourselves and each other.